Once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl named Ella. She lived in a grand mansion with her loving mother and father. They were a happy family. Laughter filled the halls. The gardens were always in bloom.
But one day my mother became very sick. No matter what the doctors tried, her health faded. With a heavy heart, she said goodbye to me. She made me promise to always be kind and brave. Then she closed her eyes for the last time.
Ella and her father were heartbroken. The mansion felt empty without her mother's laughter. Ella's father tried to be strong for his daughter, but he missed his wife terribly. He thought marrying again might bring some joy back into their lives. 1 year later, Ella's father remarried. He chose a woman with 2 daughters of her own. He hoped they would be like sisters to Ella. Little did he know, a shadow was about to fall upon the mansion, and Ella's life was about to change forever. At first, Ella tried to be friends with her stepmother and stepsisters. She approached them with an open heart, hoping to build a bond that would fill the void left by her mother's passing. She really wanted a family again. Ella dreamed of laughter echoing through the halls and shared moments of joy and love. But her stepmother was a cold and bitter woman. She had no interest in forming a connection with Ella, seeing her only as a burden. She had a sharp tongue and a heart full of envy. Her words were often laced with venom, and her actions were driven by jealousy. She was jealous of Ella's beauty and sweet nature. Ella's kindness and grace only served to highlight her own shortcomings.
Ella, my dress is wrinkled. How many times do I have to tell you to do it right?
Iron it again, and this time make sure there are no creases left.
Bring me more tea and make sure it's sweet. I don't want to taste any bitterness.
Ella's stepsisters, Drizella and Anastasia, were just like their mother. They mirrored her disdain and cruelty. They were vain and selfish. Their days were spent in front of mirrors, admiring their own reflections and seeking validation. They loved to boss Ella around. Ella became their servant, catering to their every demand without a moment's rest. She had to clean the house, cook the meals, and tend to their every whim. From dawn till dusk, her hands were never idle. Ella's days were filled with endless chores and unkind words. Each task was accompanied by a harsh comment or a dismissive gesture. She was exhausted and lonely. The weight of her responsibilities and the lack of affection took a toll on her spirit. Her father was too busy with his work to notice how unhappy Ella had become. His focus was on his business, leaving little time for family matters. He was often away on business trips. His absences were frequent, and his returns brought no relief to Ella's plight. The once happy mansion was now a place of misery for Ella. The walls that once echoed with laughter now felt cold and unwelcoming, but even in her darkest hours, she never forgot her mother's words. Her mother's voice was a beacon of hope, reminding her to stay true to herself. She held on to kindness and bravery, even when it was hard. Ella knew that her strength lay in her ability to remain compassionate, courageous, no matter the circumstances. Every night she would look at the stars and remember her mother's promise that good things come to those who are patient and kind. Ella kept a journal where she wrote down her thoughts and dreams. It was her way of holding on to hope and envisioning a brighter future. She found solace in helping others, even the smallest creatures. Her acts of kindness were a testament to her enduring spirit. Despite the hardships, Ella's spirit remained unbroken. She was determined to rise above her circumstances and find happiness. And so with each new day, Ella faced her challenges with a hopeful heart, believing that one day her kindness and bravery would be rewarded. Every day, Ella sought solace in the garden. It was a place of refuge, a sanctuary where the troubles of the world seemed to fade away. The garden was not just a collection of plants and flowers. It was a living, breathing entity that offered her a sense of peace and tranquility. Each morning, as the sun began to rise, Ella would make her way to this sacred space, her heart heavy with the burdens of the day. She would visit a small, quiet corner where her mother was laid to rest. This corner of the garden was special, a place where the air seemed to hum with the presence of her mother. The grave was nestled under a large, ancient tree, its branches providing a protective canopy over the headstone. The leaves would rustle gently in the breeze, creating a soothing symphony that calmed Ella's troubled mind. The headstone was always adorned with fresh flowers. Ella made sure of that. Each day, she would bring a new bouquet, carefully selecting the most beautiful blooms from the garden. The flowers were a symbol of her love and devotion, a way to keep her mother's memory alive. The vibrant colors and delicate petals were a stark contrast to the cold, grey stone of the headstone, a reminder that life and beauty could still flourish even in the face of loss. Ella would whisper her hopes and fears to her mother, finding comfort in the silent presence. She would kneel by the grave, her hands gently resting on the cool earth, and pour out her heart. "Mother," she would say, "I miss you so much. Everything feels so difficult without you." The words would hang in the air, a testament to her grief and longing. But in those moments of vulnerability, she also found strength. Her mother's spirit seemed to envelop her, offering a sense of reassurance and love.
Oh, Mother, I miss you so much. Everything feels so difficult. The days are long and filled with challenges. I often feel lost and alone, but I remember your promise. You always told me to be kind and brave no matter what. And so I try to live by those words even when it feels impossible. But I remember your promise. I will be kind. I will be brave. I will face each day with courage and compassion, just as you taught me. Your words are my guiding light, helping me navigate through the darkness.
The birds would sing in the trees around her, their melodies a soothing balm to her aching heart. The garden was alive with the sounds of nature, a symphony of chirping birds, rustling leaves, and the gentle hum of insects. These sounds were a reminder that life continued to move forward, even in the face of sorrow. The birds' songs were like a lullaby, lulling her into a state of calm and peace. The garden became Ella's sanctuary. It was a place where she could escape the harsh realities of her life and find a moment of respite. The vibrant colors and fragrant scents of the flowers were a balm to her soul, offering a sense of comfort and joy. She would spend hours tending to the plants, her hands working the soil, her mind finding solace in the simple, repetitive tasks. It was the one place she could escape the harsh treatment of her stepmother and stepsisters. They were cruel and unkind, always finding ways to belittle and demean her. But in the garden, she was free. Free to be herself, free to dream, free to remember her mother and the love they shared. She tended to the flowers with love and care. Each plant was a living testament to her dedication and hard work. She would water them, prune them, and talk to them, her voice a gentle murmur that seemed to encourage them to grow and thrive. The garden was a reflection of her inner world, a place where beauty and life flourished despite the hardships she faced. They bloomed in vibrant colors, a testament to her gentle touch. The flowers were a riot of colors, each one more beautiful than the last. They seemed to reach for the sky, their petals unfurling in a glorious display of life and vitality. Ella would often stand in the middle of the garden, her heart swelling with pride and joy at the sight of the blooming flowers. One day, while she was weeping by her mother's grave, a wise old owl perched on a nearby branch. The owl's presence was unexpected, but it felt like a sign. Ella looked up, her tears glistening in the soft light, and saw the owl watching her with its big, knowing eyes. It was as if the owl understood her pain and was there to offer comfort.
Tears of sadness water the seeds of hope, child. The owl's words echoed in her mind, a gentle reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always a glimmer of hope. Her tears, though born of sorrow, were also a source of strength and renewal.
Ella looked up in surprise. The owl's words had touched her deeply, resonating with a truth she had always known, but had forgotten in her grief. She realized that her mother's spirit was still with her, guiding her and offering comfort. The owl blinked its big, knowing eyes at her. It was a silent affirmation, a reminder that she was not alone. The owl's presence was a symbol of wisdom and protection, a guardian watching over her in her time of need. It felt like a message from her mother, a reminder that even in darkness, there is always light. Ella felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. She knew that she could face whatever challenges lay ahead, armed with the love and wisdom her mother had imparted to her. The garden, the grave, the owl, all were symbols of the enduring bond between mother and daughter, a bond that transcended time and space. From that day on, Ella started noticing the animals in the garden more and more. The birds would sing to her while she worked, squirrels would scamper at her feet, leaving behind little gifts of nuts and berries.
One afternoon, I discovered a hidden grove within the garden. It was a magical place, bathed in dappled sunlight. In the center stood a magnificent oak tree, its branches reaching towards the heavens. As I drew closer, I heard faint whispers coming from the tree. "Who's there?" I asked nervously.
"We are the spirits of the forest," a voice whispered back. "We have been watching over you, Ella. Your kindness touches our hearts." Ella was amazed. She had never spoken to a tree before. The spirits of the forest told Ella to always be true to herself. They promised to help her in any way they could. They gave her a beautiful silver locket, adorned with a single, sparkling diamond.
"Wear this close to your heart, Ella," they whispered. "It will bring you luck."
One day, a messenger arrived at the mansion. His presence was immediately noticed by everyone in the household. The air was filled with anticipation and curiosity as he approached the grand entrance. He carried a royal proclamation, a document sealed with the king's emblem signifying its importance and urgency. The king was holding a grand ball at the palace. This was no ordinary event. It was the most anticipated occasion of the year, a night filled with splendor and grandeur. Prince Charming was searching for a bride. The entire kingdom buzzed with excitement at the prospect of the prince finding his future queen among the attendees. Every eligible maiden in the land was invited. The news spread like wildfire, and young women everywhere began to dream of the possibilities. Drizella and Anastasia were ecstatic. They could hardly contain their excitement as they imagined themselves dancing with the prince. They dreamt of becoming princesses, their minds filled with visions of royal life and the luxuries it would bring. They spent hours trying on dresses and practicing their curtsies. Every detail had to be perfect for the night that could change their lives forever. Ella longed to go to the ball too. She imagined herself in a beautiful gown, dancing under the sparkling chandeliers. It sounded like a magical evening, a night where dreams could come true and destinies could be altered.
"May I please go to the ball?" Ella asked her stepmother timidly, her voice barely above a whisper. She asked her stepmother timidly, hoping against hope that she might be granted this one wish.
Her stepmother laughed cruelly, a harsh sound that shattered Ella's fragile hope. "You? At the ball? Don't be ridiculous, Ella. You have work to do." Her stepmother's words were like daggers, piercing Ella's heart.
Ella's heart sank. She felt the weight of her stepmother's disdain and the hopelessness of her situation. She knew her stepmother would never let her go. The dream of attending the ball seemed to slip further away with each passing moment. As she retreated to the garden, tears streamed down her face. The garden, once a place of solace, now felt like a prison of her unfulfilled dreams. She wished her mother was there to comfort her. The absence of her mother's gentle touch and kind words made the pain even more unbearable.
"Oh, Mother," she cried, "I just want to have one night of magic and beauty." Her voice trembled with emotion as she clutched the locket close to her heart.
As if in answer to her plea, a warm light began to glow from the silver locket the forest spirits had given her. The light was soft and comforting, like a gentle embrace. It pulsed with a strange energy, filling Ella with a sense of hope and wonder. Perhaps, just perhaps, her dreams were not entirely out of reach.